Good morning. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the January 22nd, 2015 Veterans Land Board meeting. Regretfully, one of our board members, Alan Sanderson, is unable to join us this morning, so it will be Mr. Johnson and myself convening the meeting. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the October 23rd, 2014 Veterans Land Board meeting. I've been advised by my general counsel that even though I was not present, as long as I've reviewed the minutes, that I can vote on approving them. So I can go ahead and receive a motion. And I'll second that. Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve the minutes. Next item on the agenda is number 2, as stated.
Mr. Chairman, members, good morning. I'd like to welcome you aboard, welcome you to your first Veterans Land Board meeting, Mr. Chairman, and we look forward to working with you and Ann and the rest of your staff. My name is Rusty Martin. I'm the Director of PSF Investments and the Chief Investment Officer, for the record. The Executive Secretary and staff are recommending that the loan limit in the Veterans Land Program be increased from its current maximum of $100,000 to $125,000. In your memo, there is a table that shows a little history of what the loan limit increases have been in that program over the years, starting with its original $20,000 at inception. You can see it's increased $20,000 each time it was increased. The last increase was to $100,000 in 2012. Recent anecdotal evidence suggests that borrowers that are seeking land near large urban areas are finding it increasingly difficult to purchase a tract that meets the program's 1-acre minimum requirement for $100,000 or less. Therefore, the Executive Secretary and staff are recommending that the current loan limit be increased from $100,000 to $125,000. This increase comports with previous increases in the context of the amount of the increase and the amount of time between such increases. For a little background information on loan demand and how we think this might affect it, in fiscal year 2014, there were about 1,100 new land loans that were originated in the program with a principal amount of about $63 million. And since the average new loan size in the program is currently about $57,000, it's going to be difficult to estimate with any certainty what the impact on overall loan demand will be from increasing the loan limit to $125,000. But the consensus among staff is that it's likely to be minimal. We know that, for example, in fiscal year 2014, about 10% of the borrowers purchased tracts that were above $100,000. So if we extrapolate 10% into the future, that would mean about $2.5 million to $3 million increase in loan demand during that period. So we're recommending that the board increase the loan limit in the VLP from $100,000 to $125,000, and that this new loan limit become effective for all new and currently active but not closed loans on January 23rd, 2015. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Rusty, you said the average today is 57 that we're closing?
The average is 57. Where we're seeing the demand for larger loans is near larger urban areas where, because we have a 1-acre minimum, it's getting more and more difficult for borrowers to find a tract that they can buy for $100,000 or less. $25,000 may make quite a difference, but as I said, it's not possible to tell with any certainty what the loan demand is going to be until we actually do the increase. We expect that it's going to be about 10% of the borrowers, and it's going to raise the demand probably.
And what's our rate on those today?
I'm sorry?
Our rate? Interest rate?
675.
675. I have no problem with it. I'll move approval.
I'll go ahead and second that. Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 2. Next item on the agenda is number 3, stated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. The purpose of this agenda item is to discuss the need for resident room rate increases in the David A. Gloyer Texas State Veterans Home Program. As a reminder, the board redeemed all of its outstanding Veterans Land Bond, Veterans Home Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2002, in August 2012 from amounts that were available in an associated collateral account. Therefore, debt service coverage ratios related to the bonds are no longer a factor in determining resident room rates in the homes. Also, our cash flow projections generally assume a 4% annual increase in room rates in order to generate sufficient cash flow to meet programmatic expenses. However, in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2013, and 2014, the board was able to avoid raising resident room rates at all due to elevated average occupancy levels, cost containment through active expense management, and contract negotiations with operators. In the years when we did have to raise rates, which was 09, 10, 11, and 12, the rates were raised very minimally, 2.25%, 3.77, 1.21, and 3.14% respectively. However, this year, due to sustained high occupancy levels, continued cost containment, and an increase in amounts that the VA will pay for veteran residents with 70% or higher service-connected disabilities, we're recommending that the board once again leave resident room rates unchanged for the period March 2015 through February 2016. To put our room rates in perspective with private nursing homes around the state, the Veterans Home staff does a survey every year. It's an ad hoc survey of private nursing homes in the locations around the state in which we have veterans homes located. And although the survey is only anecdotal, it does still provide some pretty important information about room rate structures in those homes compared to ours. And the results indicate that after taking into account the VA per diem that the non-70% service-connected disability veterans receive, which currently averages about $88 per day, the daily room rates charged in our homes remain significantly lower than the averages of the surveyed facilities. For example, the average room rate across the state for a semi-private room as a result of the survey is about $139 per day. In comparison, the net semi-private room in our homes for a non-ANA, non-70% service-connected disability veteran will be about $58. The base rate for that room is $146, but when you subtract the average $88 they receive in VA per diem, you get a net of $58. The survey also indicated that for a semi-private Alzheimer room, that rate across the state is about $157 per day. And in comparison, the net rate that's paid in our homes would be about $72. The savings to the veterans in the homes is even more enhanced when you take into account that the average room rates across the state contained in the survey do not include the cost of medications, while the room rates in our homes, as noted above, do include the cost of medication. So it is a fantastic deal for the residents of those homes. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, members, I'm recommending that the board leave resident room rates unchanged in the homes for the period March 25th through February 2016, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hard to argue that. I move approval.
I'll go ahead and second that. The motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 3. Next item on the agenda is number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, we put this on the agenda item on each agenda for discussion and possible action. I'm not recommending any action at this time, but I just want to give you a little snapshot of where we are with loan demand in the housing program. Our current base rate is 3.35%. That was set last Friday. As you know, we reset that rate every Friday, and the rate becomes effective on or after 5 o'clock on that Friday. At that time, the benchmark that we used to set the rate was at 388, so we were at 53 basis points below that benchmark rate. And as a reminder, we reset that rate using a spread of 50 to 65 basis points, and we make a determination about what that spread is based on changes in market conditions during that 1-week period. In addition to that, as you know, veterans that have a 30% or greater service-connected disability rating by the VA, we give them a 50 basis point discount. So if you take 50 basis points off of 335, you're looking at a 2.85% 30-year mortgage rate, which is phenomenal. As far as loan demand goes, in fiscal year 2014, we did about $477 million, which was about 5% above fiscal year 13 and about 16% above the previous 3 fiscal years average, which was $410 million. Demand was fairly stable throughout most of the fiscal year. It averaged about $40 million a month. So far this year, at least through November 30, demand has averaged about $38 million a month. The average loan size for fiscal year 13 was about $222,000. For fiscal year 14, it was about $235,000. And so far in this year, it's about $244,000. So far in fiscal year 2015, which is still early, demand is slightly below 2014, and it looks like we're on track to do around $455 million for the total year. An average year for us is going to be about $500 million. So I think we're in the neighborhood we need to be. Therefore, I'm not recommending any changes to the program at this time. We will continue to set the weekly rate at a spread of 50 to 65 basis points below our benchmark, and we'll continue to monitor the demand and report back to you. And this is a non-voting item, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
None at this time. Thank you for that, Rusty. With that, we'll go to number 5 on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, at the request of the state auditors, the quarterly investment report is included as a non-action agenda item at VLM meeting subsequent to its distribution, so this is a non-voting item. This QRR is for the period ended September 30th, and it was distributed on January 15th. Just to give you a snapshot of kind of the economy and then a few details about the portfolio itself. Third quarter 2014 GDP was excellent. It was an annual rate of 5% after increasing 4.6% in the second quarter. And in fact, it was the fastest pace of growth since the third quarter of 2003. And when coupled with the second quarter of 2014 increase, it's the two strongest consecutive quarters since 2003. That increase was primarily reflected of upturns in exports, non-residential fixed investment, personal consumer expenditures, increased federal, state, and local government spending, residential fixed investment, and a decrease in imports. Current consensus indicates average annual GDP growth probably 2.5% to 3% of all of 2014. Also during the period, the unemployment rate fell to 5.9%. That's the first time it's been below 6% since 2008. The Fed policy was slightly tweaked during the quarter. They left Fed funds unchanged at 0 to 0.25%. And they also affirmed that they would keep rates very low if inflation continues to run below its 2% long-term target. But where they tweaked it was that they indicated they would end their quantitative easing program in October of 2014, which they did, but they still intend to reinvest the principal payments from their holdings in mortgage-backed securities and to roll over maturing Treasury securities at auction. They also stated they would take a balanced approach when it finally began to remove its policy accommodation and may keep Fed funds low even after employment and inflation are near their mandate consistent levels if warranted by economic conditions. I think it's likely that they will be very, very hesitant to raise rates until they think it's absolutely necessary. So I personally think we're going to have continued low rates for quite a long period of time. Our investment strategy for the period continued to focus on preserving principal with high-quality investments while providing the liquidity and cash flow necessary to meet continuing loan purchase and debt service requirements. The three largest investment types in the portfolio at the end of the period were agencies at 28%, taxable munis at 17%, and treasuries at 16%. Portfolio's main characteristics at the end of the period were a total return year-to-date of 3.88%, which measures very favorably to the total return on the benchmark of 0.32%. The duration of our portfolio was a little over 4 years. The yield of maturity was 1.95%, and the yield of maturity on the benchmark was only 0.47%. That is the report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. This is a non-action item.
None at this time. Thank you, Rusty.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is number 6, as stated.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Charlotte Mumford of VLB Loan Operations. There is one appeal before the board today for forfeited tract number 14463. Account holder is Rebecca McDaniel. Mrs. McDaniel is petitioning the board to be allowed to pay the account off. The loan was originated in July of 1991. The original account holder was Mr. Weldon Beard. She is the daughter of Mr. Beard. Ms. McDaniel assumed the loan in August of 1999. She suffers from back injuries, which she has endured for over 10 years. She currently resides on the property and has submitted the funds to pay the account in full. The executive secretary and staff is recommending approval for the appeal.
I move approval.
Motion is seconded. Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 6. Next item on the agenda is number 7 as stated.
There are 24 tracts offered during the FLS online bidding period of December the 8th, 2014 through January the 20th of 2015. We received a total of 121 bids, resulting in 22 high bids. Staff is requesting that the board award all high bids that meet the qualifications for the land program, and the remaining tracts will roll over into our Type 2 program. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
No losses on any of those, Charlotte?
I'm sorry?
No losses of any kind?
No. We set the bid for those with the appraised value on the property.
Okay.
Okay.
I move approval.
Motion is seconded. Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 7. Next item on the agenda is number 8 as stated.
Staff is requesting that the board take forfeiture action on the resolutions before you, except for accounts where sufficient funds are received to avoid that forfeiture action. 36 accounts are being presented for forfeiture action today. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Let me just finish looking down here. I have no questions. I'll move approval.
I'll go ahead and second. The motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 7. Next item on the agenda is number 8.
Staff is requesting the board take forfeiture action on the resolutions before you. Staff is excuse me. This resolution lists accounts to be considered for order for sale.
One account?
I'm sorry. We're on item number 8.
Number 9, I
Sorry,
apologize.
confused me because we said 8. Let's
Number
start over.
Blame the chairman.
Okay. Item number 9. Staff is requesting the board take action on the resolution before you. The resolution lists accounts to be ordered for sale action. There are 8 accounts that will be in our next forfeited land sale.
Move approval.
I'll go ahead and second. The motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 9. Next item on the agenda is number 10, as stated.
Staff is requesting that the board set the next quarterly electronic forfeited land sale bidding period to begin March the 9th, 2015, with the bidding deadline of April 28th, 2015 at 5 p.m.
Move approval.
Go ahead and second. Motion is made, seconded, and carried unanimously to approve item number 10.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is number 11.
Board members, I'm Bill McLemore, the Executive Secretary, and this is a non-action item and for information only. Do you have any questions?
I do not.
None at this time, Bill.
Thank you very much, sir.
There being no further business before the board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.